Tyson Foods, the major organization, plans to fire U.S. workers to hire illegal immigrants, and this is why.
All right, meat giant Tyson laying off 1,200 workers after closing its pork factory in Perry, Iowa, only later to announce 52,000 jobs for migrants.
The company's excuse: migrants are getting the jobs that Americans don't want. A human resources executive for the company telling Bloomberg the migrants have been, quote, very loyal. They've been uprooted, and what they want is stability. What they want is a sense of belonging.
All right, guys, so I did a little research. And, okay, Tyson's laying off people, but this is why, right? New York City, the minimum wage here in New York City is $15 an hour. In Florida, the minimum wage is $12 an hour. In Texas, it is $7.25 an hour.
And we'll get to this. Dozens of workers from the Tyson meat packaging plant in Van Buren protested outside the plant today.
Workers say they're upset that the plant is closing May 12th. 4029's Reagan Hubbard spoke to workers and joins us live in Van Buren. Reagan.
So there are still dozens of employees out here protesting at this hour. We spoke to them today and they said they're upset with how they found out about the closure of the plant and that they want more from Tyson.
A month ago that Tyson was going to close down the facility on May 12, but nothing else was told to us, nothing about compensation or benefits. They didn't address the issues that we are enduring now, and so they just basically told us that they're going to shut down on May 12th.
Many of the workers are upset with the working conditions they say they have had to endure, like long working hours and doing the work of multiple people on their own.
Now, if Tyson, which they plan on firing U.S. citizens and hiring illegal immigrants, how much do you think they're going to pay them, guys? I can guarantee you it's not going to be minimum wage.
What you talking about, Dad?
Tonight, on the number of illegal border crossings, officials from the Department of Homeland Security telling NBC News that the number of migrants illegally crossing the U.S.-Mexico border has risen since the start of September, with Border Patrol apprehending 7,500 migrants just on this Sunday alone.
The busiest sector right now is the Rio Grande Valley, seeing about 1,800 per day. But that's a sector that's used to seeing a lot of migrants. And
so they're going to get twice the amount of workers, right? For half the price.
It is a slap in the face that we as citizens of the United States of America do not have the resources and support, but you're going to bring people who are not citizens here in our community, in our buildings that we pay taxes for, that you took away from us.
Yeah. And she brought up a good point. You know, people who are not actual citizens or who weren't born over here originally, they're getting more help from the local government than the citizens already in that town.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. Oh.
You have people in these cities already, in Chicago or here in New York, that are homeless already or can barely afford food. So it's kind of bizarre that the government is extending such a branch to people who aren't even citizens. This is what your paycheck and your taxes that you work hard for are going to right now. Do you think it's fair that immigrants can legally just walk into America nowadays without an ID card, without a passport, without applying for a visa? They can walk over here with no social security card, no identification.
The national government has turned its back on New York City.
What he once dubbed as a political stunt by Texas Governor Greg Abbott became a new reality for the city.
We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa.
Immigrants are being housed for free. For sure, I know in New York City and Chicago, they're being housed for free. They're getting free food. They're getting free health care. And the most bizarre thing about this is I could see more companies wanting to follow in the blueprints of Tyson Instead of relocating their companies, moving their companies to Mexico or Japan or China, if you notice everything in your house, if you read the label, it's made in China. So instead of companies relocating, they're starting to just hire illegal immigrants because the labor is so cheap. And these companies are thinking money first. They're not thinking about what's best for you, what's best for how can you pay your mortgage, how can you pay your health insurance, how can you take care of your kids and your family. These companies are thinking profit first. These are jobs that a lot of Americans will not work. Most of us have never left the country. So you really don't understand the value of the US dollar and how strong it is. You don't understand how strong it is in Mexico. How you can purchase a home for literally $20,000 in Mexico. Or you can go to the Dominican Republic and purchase a home for $30,000. So we take for granted the value of the United States dollar here. But the illegals who are crossing in from Venezuela, Guatemala, some parts of Mexico, they understand how valuable our dollar is. So they'll come over here and work for half of minimum wage. And this is what Tyson is planning on doing, honestly. They're going to hire workers that they could pay half the amount that they will pay you.
The Department of Labor is now investigating Purdue Farms and Tyson Foods over possible child labor law violations. Follows a report from the New York Times earlier this month mentioning an underage migrant worker who was severely injured while working for a sanitation company hired by Purdue. Purdue says it plans to cooperate fully with any government inquiry and take appropriate actions based on the findings. Tyson has yet to comment.
The fix is in. The fix is in. A lot of you guys show up to work when you want to. You're probably late half of the days. You talk to your supervisor any kind of way. You're at work hanging out. You're on TikTok on your phone, on Facebook, on Instagram. These immigrants are coming over here working hard. They're coming over here working. And they will work twice as hard as you for half of your paycheck. The fix is in. The fix is in. If I had to build a home right now, from ground up, if I purchased some property somewhere, it definitely wouldn't be here in New York, but let's say if I went down south to Atlanta or Texas and purchased some property, I would hire immigrants to build my property.
What you talking about, Dad?
Because the labor is cheap. And they're going to work twice as hard as an American with no complaints. They're going to work twice as hard and probably build my house quicker. And it's straight cash. I don't have to worry about dealing with, taxes or getting permits built and all that. Like, no. These immigrants are coming over here taking over. And they're working hard.